Page 9, Rain Dance. At the top of the page, they're introducing another new symbol for you to now know forever. It's called an accent sign. So let's talk accents. It's a little sideways arrow, and it appears above or below the note. Doesn't matter if it's above or below, that's not important. The point is it's an accent. It's a little arrow, and it's attached to a note somewhere. Look in Rain Dance in the first measure. The first note, it has the dot above the note and then the accent sign. Well, that's it. Now, I'd like you to really understand what accents are. A true accent is when the first part of the note, because when you play a note, you start it and you hold it and then you let go. That's the whole note from start to finish. The accent is only for the first part of the note. So you would play the note a little louder at the beginning, and then you would hold the note at whatever loudness you're supposed to, and then you quit. A piano can't do that because all we can do is play the note, and we can't really sustain the note. We can't keep it going very well because it just dies away on its own. If I hold that down long enough, it'll eventually completely die away to nothing. I have no control over it. I can lift up when I want it over, but that's it. With an accent, all I can do is play the note a little louder. So for piano players, an accent means you play the note a little louder. They say extra force. I don't like the word force so much because that implies, I say more weight. It's heavier. You're playing a little louder because you use more weight to play louder. And an accent is another type of articulation. So I'm going to talk about the accents when I get to the articulation part of this. So let's go through my routine for learning a piece of music. I look it over, I see it's a full page long, 4 lines long, whatever. Treble and bass clef, no sharps or flats in the key signature. We're in the key is C major. 4/4 time signature, and I see a bunch of quarter notes, whole notes, half notes. Think we can handle that. And I see a bunch of staccatos and accents. We'll do that. Now, when I'm first learning it, I don't do any of the staccatos and accents. The articulation, no, I just pretend that's not there. All I'm interested in are the notes and the rhythms and the fingering. Now, the left hand, all it's doing is playing a C and a G on the beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. Throughout the whole piece. That'll be fun. So I'm going to kind of take both hands together to shorten the video up a little bit. Otherwise, I'd take it one hand at a time first. So starting in the third measure, when they play together, you're here, C position, and you don't need any other finger numbers but that first one on the right hand. You don't need those others. You're going to use whatever finger is on those notes. And when I get to the last measure, the first line for the E flats, again, since E, third finger's on E, I'm going to use that for the E flat. So I don't need those finger numbers. But here it's 1. Remember the rule for accidentals. It's good from that point on for the rest of the measure for that staff. So in the last measure, the first line, that E flat, that's good for the rest of the measure. So both of those E's are flat, both. So at the end of the second line, we're here, rest. Now, during the rest, if you want, you can move the right hand up. You have a rest to do it. Left hand stays put, because now we're going to be in this position. Or if you'd like to feel your way around the piano, then we're going to leave here. This is my anchor, and I'm going to reach up based on where this is, and that's just that distance again, letter to letter. And then once I'm there, then I can relax. See, there's different ways of moving around. You'll have to decide how you want to do it, and you should practice both. You should practice this, and you should practice this. Now, you have to look at the piano if you're going to lift up and move. You have to lift up, it's a rest. Rest. During the rest, you come up. At the end of the third line, the last 2 measures, you're here, you reach down that distance, then relax, because now the notes are down in here, and you want to be down here. And then the last 2 measures at the bottom, you're going to reach up again, here. And then you can relax after you play it because you're done. That's sort of how I recommend moving around here. I never take moving the hands around for granted. I always, what's working and what's not, and do I need to practice this? And because the beat has to be a steady beat throughout. Then once I have the notes okay, and the rhythms and fingerings, there's no hesitations anywhere, then I add the articulation. And that would be the staccatos and the accents and the holds. Well, on the staccatos, I'm going to flex the wrist and play them short. Bum, bum, bum. And the first note there has an accent on it. So now I got to play that staccato note a little louder. I'm putting more weight on that. And a thing about staccatos and accents now. If it's a chord, you're playing more than one note at a time, and they give you that symbol, it applies for all the notes in the chord. All of them. So both of those notes are staccato, and both of those notes are accented. And I point that out because we're going to get some signs eventually where they don't apply to all the notes in the chord. They only apply to the note shown, or a particular note. So we got to keep that all straight. Just know that staccatos and accents, if it's a chord, it applies to the whole chord, everything. That's like in the third measure. Now when the right hand's playing, it doesn't apply to the right hand. It only applies it's here. If they wanted that the right hand to be accented, they have to have an accent sign for the whole note. That's different. So don't get confused here. Because I accent in one hand, I don't have to accent in the other. No. Now an accent takes it up a notch from where you're at as far as louds and softs go. So if you're playing softly, the accent's just a hair louder than that. Playing loud, the accent's just a hair louder than loud. It depends on where you're at. Here we can take advantage of the idea of bringing out the melody. So the melody I want louder than the left hand anyway. I want the left hand in the background. So what I can do, like in the first line in the third measure when they play together, I want this to be louder than this. But the first note in the left hand is going to be louder anyway because of the accent. Well, that makes them about the same. So I'm going to play both hands the same loudness and then play the rest of the notes in the left hand soft here. All the way through. Because I'm not accenting the right hand here, I'm just playing it louder. And that's what, on piano, that's what an accent is. So they're the same here. Now, in the last measure, the first line, I'm staying loud here, and this, I come down. So it's not so bad on the accents here because when you're playing the accent in the left hand, you're playing the right hand the same loudness because it's louder. Not because it's accented, simply because you're bringing out the melody, it's louder anyway. Now when you get to the third line, now the right hand's even louder now and the left hand's just in the background. So here you're just playing these normal. Playing the right hand a little louder and until you get back to what you were doing at the beginning. Then at the end, the last measure, the whole notes, those are accented. There's no staccato there. That dot you see on those notes, that's part of the fermata, the hold. That means you're going to hold that out longer than 4 counts. How much longer than 4 counts? I don't know. It's a felt. How long do you feel it should be held? If I do it with a metronome, I'll just double that value and I'll hold it for 8 counts instead of 4 and then let go. Because I got to stay with the metronome. And that's sort of how it goes. As far as how fast you go, it depends on how fast you want to dance, I guess. But it's got to be accurate. Then as far as the interpretation goes, the articulation is part of interpreting the music. They're telling you some things about how to interpret the music. Because in theory, they didn't need any of that stuff, and you might actually do it that way anyway, because you would feel it that way. But they're telling you, make sure you do this. But there's more you can do besides that. I mean, the third beat gets a natural accent. 1, 2, 3, 4, like so. Yeah. And otherwise, it's bring out the melodies. We want to hear the right hand. So keep the left hand in the background. So you're not going to be playing the left hand loud. It's got to be in the background. That's one way of playing it. You know, I had to play it that way. You can go slower than that, or faster, or however you want. And you can do the accents a little different if you want. It's up to you. Let's play it together very slowly and check the notes and the rhythms and all that. So I'll give us 4 counts. 1, 2, ready, go. Rest. 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 2, 3, 4, hold. 2, 3, 4,